love to movers and shakers, hard workers and those bread makers. Respect to hustling bouquet, reaching back and not forgetting. You stand strong, odds stacked against you. Before long, your change will come to your purpose greater than also. Stay focused, obstacles fall. Hey, I see you. When I think of strength, you come to mind. There's no greater power I could find. Hey, I see you. When I think of strength, you come to mind. There's no greater power I could find.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the Striving for More podcast, where influence and knowledge is core. Hosted by none other than me, Hamo. Welcome. Let's give a hand clap. This has been a long time coming. The road here was definitely bumpy, but we're here. This is the official launch date of Striving for More, episode 1. How you guys doing today? How you feeling? So I'm not going to waste any time because the topic that we are going to dig into today was a very popular topic. I was text, DM, called about this topic. A lot of the followers wanted to really talk about this. They shared opinions, thoughts, wanted to know what I thought about it and get my take. And I actually took the time to talk to friends, colleagues, associates about this so that we could have a little bit of flexibility on how everybody feels about it and what everybody thinks. So, the topic today is experience versus degree. Let's get into it. Again, experience versus degree. This is a very controversial topic in the business world. I have heard many different takes on this. There are some of us who spend thousands and thousands of dollars on our degrees, putting hundreds of hours to get so many credits and accolades and acknowledgement for the time that we took to become further educated on a specific lane that we wanted to get, whether it be business, whether it be science, whether it be engineering, whether it be nursing, whether it's getting the doctorate, etc., etc. You took the time to go get that, right? So the question is, do you need a degree to do or go into the field that you want to go into? Or is experience better or best? We're going to see today. Okay? And I definitely would like to get your take on this and your opinion. Share your opinion. Okay? So when talking to several individuals about this topic, let me tell y'all, we almost got into a little debate. Now, for me, my take, let me share my personal take on degree versus experience. I'm always going to say it really depends. It depends. It depends on if you're going to gain employment for a specific employer that requires you to have an associate a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate. You know what I'm saying? So if those are the specific qualifications that you need in order to, get that position, I would say having that said would be important, right? And there are some employers that will base your ability to do your job and perform well, and that will deem you capable is if they see that piece of paper that says you are educated and qualified for the position that you are applying for, right? So that all depends. But then you will have some employers that prefer experience, on some of those applications or interviews you go on, and they're like, so how many years have you been doing said specific work? You know, has it been 5 years? Has it been 10 years? Has it been 15 years? Some positions I would, as a business owner, I would look to a person for experience versus degree, right? And an example of, I don't know, like say I would want an IT guy to come in and fix my computer. I'm having some issues. I'm having some networking issues. Computer's running slow. Blah blah blah. How things like that go, right? Um, would I specifically want someone that just got out of school, has that certificate? Like I do IT stuff. However, I could be their very first customer. I could be their very first real life person where they are now applying said skills that they acquired in their university, right? Or would I prefer someone that came out and has been working on computers for 20 years? I can look and see references where that person has fixed computers for individuals, corporations, for LLCs, for everyone. And everyone has given them a 4.0 or 5.0 or higher rating on their job, and they are the go-to person because they have been doing this field. I think I would go with the person that has been fixing computers for 20 years versus the person that has the certificate or degree in computer education that hasn't had that much experience actually applying the skill, right? So, like I said, it depends, right? So now I've done some research, right? And here it says that in many industries, both experience and a college degree are valuable, though the specific balance of their importance can vary. Yeah, I agree. Because a degree can signify a strong foundation of knowledge and skill, while experience demonstrates practical application and problem solving ability. When you are working in a position and it's a fast paced environment, they're looking for you to be highly knowledgeable, skilled, and quick on your feet, able to perform, get the job done, meet the quotas, do what you got to do, right? Because when you go to work, especially if you're working for someone, even when it's your own, company, you got to be quick on your feet, right? Um, able to perform the task at hand, period. Because I'm thinking that the client, customer, or whatever, whomever, is not really concerned about your degree, your title, your anything. They're really concerned about whether or not you can perform the task or the service that you are trying to offer in the best way, quality, service. That's what they want and that's what they're expecting and that's what they care about. Um, I have to put myself in the shoes of a patron, of a client, of a customer. Um, I'm looking for quality service. I'm looking for a person to come in that's able and capable of doing the task. And of course, knowledgeable, but it could be knowledgeable because they learned it because they had a degree, or knowledgeable because this is what they have been doing and they know what to do through experience. I think that there is kind of like an even balance of requirements when that comes. You know, some people want to see those papers, some people want to see that degree, that certificate, that license, that, that proof that they kind of associate that with legitimacy. You know, you are a legitimate nurse, doctor, uh, author, CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, contractor, landscaper, plumber, electrician. You know what I'm saying? They would like to see your credentials, right? And so if you show them your credentials, they feel like you are legitimate, correct? Some people do feel that way. And others will base their opinion on your capabilities through what? Word of mouth. That is a very important thing, you know. Word of mouth references, people that you have previously provided a service for, recommending you to the next client, customer, job based on the work you completed for them, hence experience, right? And if you're referred by a person, and usually, typically, referrals, either they're referring you to a family member, a close friend, a neighbor, or something like that. So you're pretty much getting referred based on your performance that you did for them. And the next person is trusting that based on their friend or family member or neighbor's referral, right? Because they're feeling like they would not just send any old body over here to me. They obviously trust the work, trust the person, trust the service. So it's like, come on over, get this work, let's get this work done. They might not necessarily ask you for credentials because they're just trusting the person that referred you. And that is you getting your foot in the door based on your experience. Okay? So employers often seek a combination of both, with some prioritizing experience for entry level or specialized roles. Specialized roles meaning, I can throw an example out there. How about brain surgeon? That's a pretty important position, and it's definitely a specialized role. So I think if I needed brain surgery, I'm going to lean more towards the doctor that went to school for 1,000 years to receive his degree in that specialized area and is fully knowledgeable of what they are doing in the brain, right? Um, but I say that also to say, as I think I would want, a doctor to have all of their licenses, their education, and be fully capable and qualified to be a brain surgeon. However, you have to think like this. If you're having brain surgery, will you want a person that's done the surgery hundreds of times? Do you want the brain surgeon straight school, out of doctor school, out of doctor school, or would you like the brain surgeon that has worked on hundreds and countless of brains before? What would you choose in that situation? I I'm going with experience again. I'm going with experience again. It sounds like experience is sort of kind of winning right now, doesn't it? I don't know. We gonna see. We gonna see. Degree versus experience. Which I think. Which I think. So others valuing a degree for more theoretical or leadership positions. That makes sense. So basically, experience for specialized roles, like the brain surgeon, and then they're valuing the degree for more theoretical and leadership positions. It's like have a degree to work in management, have a degree to work on the executive level, have a degree for that prestigious title. Hmm. I'm thinking it just depends on the person, right? That's what I think. It depends on kind of like what you want and what your goal is. Like, would you like the skill and ability and the experience and you're saying, oh, well, I know how to perform this task. I can provide you a great service, more like a laborer, more like a contractor, providing you a good service, right? That will come along with skill and experience. However, if there is another person that is really about titles, prestige, I am the COO, I am the CFO, I am the CEO, I am the manager of the manager of the management, okay? That's who I am. Degree. Degree. It depends on what your goal is, what you want for yourself, what you aspire to do. Like, would you just want to that prestigious title? Does it make you feel good about yourself? Which is fine. Everybody has their goal. Everybody has their dreams. Everybody has that lane and that path that they themselves would like to walk on. No judgment. This is a judgment free zone because to each his own, right? Some will be like, okay, so you just got a title and this, that, the third. They work for that title. They're qualified, obviously, to have that title. So give them their, you know what I'm saying? Just like the person that worked hard for years upon years and gained that hands on experience. They earned their references. They earned every single thing that they have in their portfolios, everything that they have on their resume that makes them an experienced service provider, employee, laborer, whatever title you want to put on it, because there's so many different titles. We're not going to be able to just hone in on every title of every position because there's so many, right? There's so many. The elaboration of the degree. A degree provides a foundational understanding of the field, demonstrating and committing to learning and the acquisition of specific skills. That means it's all up here. That means I'm fully knowledgeable of this position and this field and this lane that I'm deciding that I want to go into, and I'm confident and I can basically teach you what I learned and what I know, and I can share my knowledge, and then said knowledge can be transferred into hands-on experience because I can't just have it in my head. At some point, I'm going to have to apply the knowledge and skills that I learned into an action, correct? And this little piece of paper that I have and these degrees on the wall says I can do it. That's what it says, right? Okay. And that's what some employers look at. You know, we're going to get into the pros and cons a little bit later. But right now, we just going to stick with that, right? Because it sounds good, right? Experience. This is interesting. Experience. It literally starts with real world experience. That's catchy. Allows individuals to apply theoretical knowledge in practical situations. Develop valuable soft skills like communication and teamwork. Let's talk about that. Communication and teamwork. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you have been at work, you're just out, just minding your business, you're just here to get the job done and, start your day? Can you pretty much tell the difference between a person that is fully knowledgeable and the person that is experienced? Can you tell, like, who most what who? I don't know. In some situations, I can, but no, I'm gonna correct that. In most situations, I can. And let me give you a little example so that you maybe can be able to picture the illustration of who's in the degree or the experience, right? So I would imagine that a person with a degree, that you're working with, is somewhat of a, I don't know, dictator. We're going to use that word, dictator. A dictator is a person that talks a lot and tells you what to do, tells you how you should do it, tells you how you should have done it, tells you how you could have done it, talks to you as though you aren't very knowledgeable in what it is that you're doing and they know best. That degree. Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever worked with someone like that? Oh, well, you should do this or go here or this, that, the third. What do they say? On this here internet, everybody wants to be a manager, but you're not actually the manager, but you act like you're the manager. Most people that are highly educated do that. They do that. They do that, right? Versus the person that has experience. The person that has experience somewhat to me sounds like they are the person or people or persons that have developed valuable soft skills like communication and teamwork. What do you think? Sounds about right. And the reason why I think that is because if you have so much experience, that means you have done this position, you have been doing this, you're a people person, you're now, you meet up with people, whether it be you're doing the plumbing for their home, the electrical work for their home, landscaping for outside, fixing their computer, going into their company, handling their finances, allocating funds. It could be anything, any service that you are providing, you have experience. Hence, you have been around people. So you know how to communicate. Because if you I would assume that if you don't know how to communicate, how are you getting the job done effectively? And how is your client versus as a customer understanding what it is about the service that you're providing, or understanding, I don't know, the bill, how much is this? How much is this cost? What day will you be here? How long will you be here? Will you work Monday through Friday? Are you coming on the weekends? Will you start at 8 and end at 4? Or is this a 7 to 3? Or is this a 24-hour thing? I don't know. You have to communicate that, right? So you have to be an effective communicator. And then teamwork Well, some people work alone, but even with that, you still have to have distribute a certain amount of teamwork because even if you're working alone, you have your client or the person that you are providing a service with, and you guys are communicating together. They're telling you their need, and you're coming in, you're helping, and you're getting the job done, and you guys are going bouncing ideas back and forth. That's teamwork. Even if you are a solo private contractor that works alone, you still have to have team working skills. And then you might have a crew. That's definitely key. You might have assistants. You might have people that come in and help you provide the service that you are offering. You have to be a good team player because if not, I'm just going to assume that tensions are going to rise, something is going to be missed, someone's going to be unhappy. Let's just say be a good team player. Okay, and I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, it does. And definitely goes along with communication and teamwork. So here we go again. Experience seems to be leading here. What do you guys think? I don't know. Experience seems to be, as we keep going on, experience is sounding good to me. However, sometimes, as I said before, degree is necessary depending on what it is or what the position is or what you're going for. Right? Let's talk. We talked a lot about trying to, get the position or the job, provide the service with need, degree, or education. I think we dug into that quite a bit. So let's, I don't know, see from the employer's perspective, what they're looking for. Employer priorities. While some employers prioritize a degree, particularly in the fields like medicine. See, I knew it. I was talking about the brain surgeon. I don't know, something about going all into the hospital or the ER or anybody's surgery room. You want to do surgery on me? I want experience. I'm sorry. I just want experience with some education and knowledge, of course. So I think in medicine, both have your certificates, qualifications, licenses, and all that, plus experience. I think in the medical field, we require both. I do think that the degree is important, right? And in that instance, let me know if you agree. Now, in the field of academia or law, I didn't even think of that. Oh, I think that's important. If you are looking for a lawyer, whether criminal or civil, I think that you would like a lawyer that has gone to law school, has passed the bar, and is I don't know, how do you say that, registered, the licensed attorney? I'm going to go with licensed attorney, legal attorney that is fully knowledgeable of the law, okay, of all the laws. Because in order for them to represent you, well, they have to be fully knowledgeable of the law in order to fight for you, whether it be criminally or civil. They got to be on their game. And as much as they cost, yeah, I require an attorney to be fully knowledgeable, licensed, passed the bar, did all those years of law school to know their stuff, right? But then again, we got to bounce back to experience. They could have went to law school, passed the bar, been licensed, are an attorney, be like, yes, such and such attorney at law. They have that title, they have that degree, right? and and they never represented anyone a day in their life, you are the first one. You are their client, and this is the first time that they're going in front of this judge in this courtroom. They ain't never represented, they've never spoken in court, they nothing. That sounds like a very interesting situation. How you guys feel about that? Hmm. I think that if I was in that situation, I wouldn't necessarily want to be in that situation. I was like an attorney that's been doing this. Like they walk up in the courtroom and they're like, "Hey, Your Honor," and this, that, the third, and my client and this is not guilty, and they're not guilty based on law number 123 on dash 76 of Covey vote versus Johnson in 1982. And this is why you should let my client go. Yep. I like that right there. I want my attorney to be up in there fighting for me because they are fully experienced and they've done this before and they've had several clients in my position and they won. They won and they went home and they are good. Whether it be criminal, I'm not going to jail. Whether it be civil, give me my money. Or if I'm being sued, I don't want to pay this money. You know what I'm saying? So I would like an attorney that is experienced. But I also want an attorney that's an attorney. So I think for that, I don't know, it's like an even balance. Right? It's like you want an educated attorney that knows what they're doing, and you also want an attorney that has experience. Right back to it all depends, right? It all depends. Industry vibration. The importance of experience versus the degree can also vary depending on the specific industry. Yep, I said that. I said that. Yeah, no. Without even digging deeper into the research. It definitely depends. That makes sense, right? Like it just can't be that black and white. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't gotta go to school and get a degree. You don't need a degree for this, that, and the third. Ain't that how they sound? Like, I'm sorry. My apologies. If I hit anyone too close to home or you feel triggered by that. But yeah, that's how people be sounding like when they be saying that to me. My apologies again. It does depend on the specific industry. For example, in the tech industry, practical experience and the ability to learn new technologies quickly are very highly valued. Basically, being quick on your feet, a good learner. But that could be either way, right? You know, like you could just be smart. You can just be smart. You could not have sat or did an hour in somebody's university and you could go hands on a job with no experience at all and just watch what they do and pick it up like that. And the next week you just out here just doing that service because you watched them do it. Some people are visual learners. Some people have to read it. Some people have to learn it by hearing it. And some people have to learn it by doing it. Right? So I say the ability to learn. I don't know, varies because they feel like if you took time to go to school and get these degrees and everything, you sat in that classroom or you sat in that, with your professor and you passed those tests and you got those credits, that pretty much tells them that you have the capacity to retain information and apply it, to those tests, to those things, write down because everybody knows that after you got those degrees, you have to write that thesis, you have to do those final papers, you have to turn it in, you got to allow that professor in your university to know that you have retained the information that you have been taught while in university. Mm-hmm. Hence, the ability to learn and be quick on your feet because you have a degree. And as I said, hands-on experience and knowledge and real-world experience. People are smart. You know what I'm saying? They might not be book smart or want to sit in the classroom with the professor and be taught and told and all this and writing it down and keeping it in your binder so you can, if you got to utilize that information later, go in there and read. Okay, so how to do this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? That's a way of learning. Or, like I said, hands on experience right there on site, doing it, getting your hands dirty, or problem solving. Some people learn as they go. Some people retain information that way just by doing it. Of some person, some people, I don't know. Who to say? What's an example? I don't know. Put up, paint a house. I don't know where that comes from. But since painting a house popped into my brain, you know what I'm saying? Some people might think painting a house is a breeze, a snap, you know, whatever. Like, you know, what is it to that? I mean, it's paint. Roll the roller and paint the brush and pick the color and then you go. You painted a house, right? I mean, that sounds simple, but I don't think it's that simple. I even if I thought painting a house was simple, I don't think that I'm particularly good to do that. If someone will hire me to paint their house, I think that they're too happy with the service I provided. Because I could, you know, DIY it, you know, YouTube it. You know, they have all those YouTube do it yourself videos and get it done. Or I think we need to go with a person that knows all the steps that go into painting. I'm pretty sure you gotta, I don't know, buff, sand, certain strokes. I don't know, but I'm thinking it's a special skill, okay? Because if I did it, it wouldn't look as great as a professional house painter or painter that has the experience with doing that. So in that instance, I feel like it's important to have experience, right? Versus the knowledge that I would retain by just reading and someone telling me how to paint a house. I can read right now. I could Google how to paint a house, and I could research it and I could read it, and I would be fully knowledgeable on how to paint a house. Right? So would I be able to actually do it? You'll never know unless you do it. And I guess the more that you do it, is the more experience you become. So what's more important? Having the knowledge on how to paint a house or actually having the experience of have already painted houses? I'm gonna go with the latter. Experience for the win again. Experience for the win again. Because you can know how to do a lot of things. But what does that really matter in hindsight if you've never done it? It could be like, oh yeah, you can eat what sushi on every Friday, and it's its health benefits is monumental, right? Someone could tell you that, and then you'd be like, "Oh, okay, the health benefits are okay. So, what kind of sushi do you like?" And they tell you, "Oh, I don't know. I've never eaten sushi." That what? So, did y'all see what I did there? It was kind of like they said you could eat sushi, you know, and then because the health benefits and everything, and they are telling you to eat sushi. but they've never themselves eaten sushi before. Does that make sense? So you can have knowledge of said sushi and its benefits, because that's why they're telling you, because I don't know, they learned it somewhere, but they have never experienced the actual benefits because they've never done it themselves. So my point is, I lean more toward the advisement from people that have done it themselves, right? And that's just me. That's just me. You don't have to quote me or feel like what I'm saying is law. I just particularly lean towards anyone sharing their opinion, their thought, or advice or anything from people that have actually experienced it and done it themselves, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. Like said, this here podcast we're doing right now. I mean, of course, I accepted, people about topics and things and discussions that you wanted to hear and listen to. However, I lean more towards people that have podcasts of their own and have been experienced with podcasting for years. Troubleshooting, problem solving, things they went through, pros and cons, ups and downs, what went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or people that have been in front of the camera, have had to talk to people, have had to have their topics or whatever they're doing relayed in a good way. And they've had good experiences, and experience of can tell me, give me feedback on what they see from me or what I could do better or what I could do more of, etc. Right? Experience versus talking to someone that went to podcasting school. Podcasting school for podcasters, but have not yet actually launched their own actual podcast. They can be fully knowledgeable and let me know what it is that they learned or that they learned how to be a podcaster. But I lean more towards personal experience. And I say that to say I can go on, again, Google, YouTube, or several different platforms to learn all of the podcasts. I prefer the experience. Again, experience for the win. How are we doing here? You guys, experience seems to be doing pretty good up in here today. What y'all think? I don't know. But I'm not fronting on no degrees though. I can't. I would be a hypocrite if I was to front on having a degree. Why? Because I myself have several. I do. I have several degrees. I went to university. I did undergrad. I did graduate school. I stopped at my master's, but I have an associate's, two bachelor's, and one master's. And accolades, accolades. I can say I got this degree, and I went to school. I went to college, and I am fully capable of doing this and pushing it here, pushing it there, and I can tell you what to do and all that. Okay, that sounds good. Although I do have my degree. When I graduated college and had said degrees on my wall, and I did the very first, I don't know, position or task that I needed to apply that knowledge to, let me let you in on a little secret. Okay? Let me let you in on a little secret. This is something that most people aren't going to tell you because they want you to feel like everything is simple, everything is easy. I have these degrees and I do this and I can do that. And yeah, this is where I'm at now. No. When it came time for me to do the task or provide the service or do what I felt like I was so confident about and I'm able to do, nothing that it was that I was doing in real life had anything to do with what I learned in the university. Knowledge is power. However, experience and hands-on and actually doing what you're saying you're so qualified to do, I think is more important because it's the service, it's the task, it's what you're doing that's important. So although I had those degrees, I actually had to learn real life through experience. Like for instance, like I have a master's in communication. Okay, communication is okay, but that's like a vast wide range when you hear that. Communication, right? However, when I sat down to write my very, very first speech, if you guys didn't know, fun fact, I am a speech writer, a speech editor, a script editor, a script writer. I can write. And I write speeches for lots of different people, right? My first speech that I wrote wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. And I had to learn and I had to humble myself because the first specific person that I wrote that speech for sent it back with all these X's and lines and red marks, and that were very unhappy with the speech because it didn't. They felt like it didn't gear towards what they were going for, what they wanted to say. It didn't express their ideals. It didn't sound like it was coming from them, right? Made sense. And I was truly, truly humbled because I said, I got this degree. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to do this. And they are just going to love what I got and they're going to pay me, right? Yeah, no, I didn't get paid for that. But their speech. And I had to do it all over again. It's basically trial and error. You have to learn how to what? Communicate. Ask that person what you're looking for. What's your main topics outlining of the speech? What audience are you trying to relate to or appeal to? What message are you trying to get across? What's your personality? What's your thoughts? What's your opinions? There's a lot of things that go into said speech writing, right? So, with that being said, experience. Good to have the degrees because if I didn't have the degrees, I wouldn't have gotten into the doors that I can walk into. I wouldn't have gotten the level of clientele that I do have had I not had said degrees because they're looking for a person that has a master's or higher in communications, correct? So that got me in the door. However, I also had to have the experience that I needed in order to provide the service. So that's kind of how it depends, just like we started. It depends. And then we are going to end with the importance of both. Ultimately, the most successful candidates often possess a combination of both education and experience. This allows them to leverage their theoretical knowledge to solve real world problems and apply their skill in a practical manner. Makes sense. So I feel at the end of this here discussion that there were a lot of things shared where education is very important and valuable, and where education is also very important and valuable. So I'm thinking, where's the debate? Yes, for some things depends. I'm gonna write that down. Depends, on what it is that you're doing and what you're looking for and what's required. As far as education versus experience. I think that at the end of this conversation, what's Keisha's opinion? What's Kayla's opinion? So, education and experience, degree and experience, is important. Well, we're ending this. Well, let me know how you feel about it. Do you lean more towards the degree? Do you lean more towards the experience? After this discussion that we have had and the examples that I gave you, which was pretty fun examples, if I do say so myself, I, I, I think that's good. I think it's practical and reasonable to say that it's good. Huh. Education versus degree. I hope that was pretty helpful for some people because there are people out here that feel like, oh, I don't have a degree. I'm not as smart as you. I'm not as capable as you. I can't apply for this or that or this because I never went to college or I never even graduated from high school. There are some employers out here that look for experience and will give you a chance, give you a shot. Don't let that ever discourage you. Don't ever not apply for or go for a position that you want to do because you feel like you are not qualified in the education niche. Okay? Don't ever allow yourself to feel that low about yourself that you deny yourself a chance at a position because you never know. That person that is hiring you might have been given an opportunity by someone else and they're trying to give back or they see something in you that they saw in themselves when they started. You never know. Sometimes God places you in positions and places people in your life for a reason. So, like I said, don't ever not apply for or go for something that it is that you want to do in your life. Do it. Try it. Apply for it. Put yourself out there. All you can do is say no. I mean, and if you're a person that's okay with rejection, which we all sometimes problem with rejection, but sometimes you just need to just suck it up. And some people will say no. Move on to the next. But can you get a yes or a no by not trying at all? I don't think so. Don't think so. So I hope you guys enjoyed the very, very first episode ever of the Striving for More podcast. We will be going over so many topics moving forward. And I look forward to your feedback. Let me know what you guys learned, if anything, from this episode. Give me your feedback. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. Let me know if you agree with, about what I thought, or if you disagree with my thoughts. Nobody has to agree with me, right? I would like to have a conversation about this. Let's get into it. Degree versus education. In some things I lean more towards experience, and some things I do feel like a degree is required. So it's like an even balance, right? So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I really, really enjoyed it. This is my very first time, and I'm happy. My heart is full. Oh, all right. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Boss Red. Amos Striving for More. I love this teacher. I love it. And I would also like to give a shout out to for the musical selection and the intro, an artist named Diana Stars. She's wonderful, and I greatly appreciate her for recording that musical piece just for my next time. We will be going over the next topic will be networking, the importance of networking, and the different ways of networking. I hope you guys tune in next week so we can dig into it. I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, and week. Stay tuned for the next episode to drop next week for the Striving for More podcast. I look forward to seeing that. Thank you for watching my very first episode launch. I think we did bad. We did bad. Bye.